Hi, I'm Mike, and I am here to talk to you about Slack. Right now, there's lots of groups and organizations coming together. I've been at a couple of these meetings, and the groups keep saying, we're all going to communicate through Slack, and there's like a handful of people in that room that are like, I don't know what Slack is, somebody explain it to me. That's what I'm going to do right now. So if you are new to Slack and you're trying to join an existing group, I'm going to explain to you how to think about it. So the thing about Slack is a messaging tool for groups. You have to remember, where we're coming from. Typically, when we're dealing with group messaging, we're talking about lots of emails between people, so really long email threads, or maybe like texting between people, so you have like multiple people texting. It becomes really chaotic really fast when you have a big group of people all trying to communicate. And Slack solves that problem. So if you're in a room with like 10, 20, 100 people, and you're like, how are we all going to communicate? Slack makes it really easy. So Slack is an app, it's an application. It's on both laptops and smartphones, and it's great because it works on both types of devices. So I'm just gonna talk to you about how you should think about Slack. So of course we need a group, so I'm gonna tell you about my group. So in my group, me and my friend Alice, you can see us here, we're organizing a bunch of people to come together. And so we've got Bob, we've got Charlie, we've got, Denise and Ernie, and you can see how I use the alphabet, but we have a big group, and we all want to communicate. And so we've set up a Slack team for us to all communicate together. And when you open the laptop to see for the first time, you're probably going to see something that looks a little bit like this. And it's going to have our team name at the top, and then it's going to say channels, and then it's going to say direct messages. In the middle, you can see the actual content of the messages that are being sent. So on the left, you get to select who you're communicating with. In the middle, you see the actual content of the communications, and on the right, you have like a search bar. And so just to do what's simple, direct messages are what you expect. If I just want to communicate with Alice directly or with Bob directly, I can send them an individual direct message. Nothing special there. Where Slack gets really interesting is in channels. Channels is another word for groups. They're called channels because they're supposed to have a specific topic. So, maybe there's a marketing and outreach team. They'll have a channel name called marketing and outreach. Maybe there's just a general channel for everybody for common knowledge that we all need to know. So that's you can see here that there is a general channel. And so, for instance, to give you an example, let's say I have this problem where I forgot where the meeting is, I can't find it in my email, and I just want to ask people whatever. So I write in the general channel, when is the meeting? And the beauty of this is that everyone in the general channel, which is everybody in my group, gets to see that message. And so instead of the typical problem where I email a big group of people and everyone kind of replies all at the same time, and it's very chaotic, very fast, only one person needs to reply. It's very, very simple. Alice writes back, 8 p.m., see you there. The meeting's at 8 p.m., see you there. And so what this does is it reduces the cacophony of messages, makes it really easy to communicate, and it works across different types of platforms between laptops and smartphones. So let's say I know the meeting is going to be soon and I'm getting anxious, so I'm going to run out to the subway. I can write when is the meeting at my home on my laptop, get in the subway, and then open up the Slack app, go to that same general channel where I put that message and see Alice's reply. So it's really cool to solve that type of problem of, I can write something on my laptop, I can write something on my phone, and it goes either way. One other thing actually, I'm not going to say that just yet. So that is the Slack in the simplest sense. It's a way for groups to communicate. So I'm just going to talk about a handful of things here. So why Slack? We just talked about group communication. A couple key concepts for you guys to know, really important features. How to get started, if you're interested, how to get started. So let's jump in. So key concepts. So most important thing to know about Slack is made for everybody. It's not made for like hyper technical people. What I mean when I say Slack is made for everybody is if you're having trouble, the thing that you should think is Slack probably wanted to make this really easy to solve. Slack is not trying to make your life hard. They put a lot of effort to make your life really easy. So if you're having a question or you're not sure what to do, or you're saying like, I wish I could do something, Slack can probably solve that. So for instance, if you're like, oh my God, there's this really cool whiteboard that I drew and I want to share it with my team. How do I do that through Slack? Slack is made for everyone. They have you in mind. So they have a really simple feature. They have it in the bottom of both the phone app and the laptop app. There's this little plus sign. So on the phone, you'll click that plus, and it will give you the option to take a photo. And you can upload the photo, super duper simple, and it'll magically appear. So you can take a picture with you and all your friends and share it with everyone. And it appears in both places. So that's just one example. Slack is made for everyone. Another thing to talk about are how do channels work? How should you think about channels? So the thing with channels is they're grouped conversations. So you want to try to keep everything thematic to a certain theme, like marketing or outreach or whatever, and that'll just make it much easier for people to jump in and catch up and know what everyone's supposed to be talking about. So you do really want to be deliberate when you put a message in a channel, and you definitely should be able to expect that everyone else is going to be conscientious as well, so that there won't be mixed messages. There won't be like internal communications in the external communications channel. One other minor thing to mention about channels is there are both public and private channels. So for instance, me and Alice, we made this group ourselves. So we're the administrators, the admins. So we have a small private channel just for the two of us, and anyone else who happens to have administrator privileges. If you want to get into an admin or into a private channel, you can, but don't worry too much about it, at least at the start. Another important thing to mention are mentions, @mentions. So what that means is if you want to write a message, and let's say you want to write me a message, I'm Mike. If you write that @ symbol, then Mike V, that's me, I get a notification that there was a message for me. So if Alice wanted to do a really good job to let me know that she's answering my question, she can say, "See you there," @Mike. And this way, I'll get a notification that that message is for me. Really great feature that. Okay, so we're talking about key concepts. We just talked about why Slack is for everyone. It's really easy. Next thing is to mention is channels. So channels are grouped conversations. This is really where the power of Slack comes in. So if you want to talk about different topics, you want to do that one in each channel, so it's really easy to sort and for people to know what to expect. So definitely best practices. Talk about your specific content. If you're on the marketing team, for instance, talk about marketing in the marketing channel. If you're on the partnerships team, talk about that in the partnerships channel, and don't mix and match. It makes it much easier for everybody else. The other thing to mention with channels is the hashtag. So Slack uses hashtags as a way to tag specific channels. You can actually click on it and jump to a channel. It makes it really easy to communicate. Another thing that Slack does is they're called @mentions. So you put the little @ symbol and then you put someone's name. So like my name is Mike V, so you can do @Mike V. And what's great about that is I get a notification when somebody mentions me. So if you want to ask me a specific question or you're trying to answer my specific question, you can do that @ symbol. So for instance, with Alice, instead of just saying 8 p.m. see you there, she could say 8 p.m. see you there, Mike V, @Mike V. And then I get the notification that she answered my question. Makes it really easy. So I will add that over here so we're consistent. Other things to know. So I mentioned notifications. So there's two different ways that Slack gives you a notification, because there's two different things that you need to be notified about. One, like I said, is that you yourself, someone's trying to communicate with you directly. Slack puts a little bubble on that with a number of how many times you were mentioned. So here I would get a circle, a bubble with the number 1 because I was mentioned once. The other thing that Slack wants to let you know, because you're in the app to communicate with your group, is you want to know when the group is talking, even if they don't mention you specifically. If that happens, if someone put some new communication in, Slack makes that channel bold. So bold means general, and the bubble is specific to you. Other stuff to know, Slack it's very easy to search for content, so definitely make sure you use that search function whenever you want. Privacy, I got a lot of questions when I was talking with other people about how private is Slack, or more, the common way I've heard it phrased is Slack secure, is it private? The better question is, how does Slack security and privacy compare to the alternative, which again is text messages and emailing, and compared to that, it's a lot better. But it's definitely not perfect. So a couple things to just know in general about privacy is admins, like me in this case, they can see your messages, so that's important to know. And regardless of where you're writing them, so you want to be cognizant of that. And your Slack team is only as secure as the people that join it. So some people make Slack teams open to anybody, and then anyone can come in. I know with the group that I'm at, they only let people into the Slack channel if they've attended at least one meeting in person. So you have to keep that in mind. Last key feature I want to two more features to mention. One is new messages. So now that you know that people are going to be talking in all these different channels, you might say, oh, what happens, if my question gets buried in the thread that always happens on email, what do I do? Slack, again, they're made for everyone. They're keeping you in mind. They solve that problem with these new message lines. So what you'll see is a blue bar. Well, the color sometimes depends on the theme that you're using. You'll basically see this bar at the top when there's a new message, and it'll say new message, and you can hit that bar, and it'll take you to the top. And then even better than that, Slack will say new message after you hit that bar. They have this little line in there so you can see exactly where that new message happened. So they know that that's important, and they got you covered. Another thing that's a really common problem that people have is forgetting passwords, losing passwords. Slack's got you covered. They have this thing called the magic link. In the app, if you have trouble recovering your password, just click magic link, and they'll send it to your email. And you just click the link in your email, and you get back into Slack. Super simple. Okie dokie. So you get that we want to use Slack for team communication. You get the channels and the app mentions, as for everyone. Talked about a couple features. So now you're ready to get started. How do we do this? First and foremost, take out your phone, download the app. That's going to be super important. They have it on iOS, iPhone, Android, everything. Next, again, you're probably trying to join a group already. So one of those admins, one of those people controlling the group, they should have sent you an email invite. If they haven't sent you the email invite, write them an email and say, please send me the email invite for Slack. I didn't get it yet. So while the downloading often takes some time, so just make sure you get that started. And now we can keep going or get that email invite. I find it's definitely easiest to get started with Slack on my laptop. So open up your email on your laptop, click on that email invite that they sent you. Super important thing. This is a really key issue with Slack. Slack operates with this scheme. They have teamname.slack.com. Teamname.slack.com. And so anytime that you're trying to be part of a team, like if you want to be on Mike's team, it'll be mike'steam.slack.com. You really need to know this. And so it'll say that in the email. You can click through the email, or you could just type in that team name in .slack.com into your web browser. But you're going to need this to log into all the other Slack apps, like on your phone. So make sure you don't lose that. And then when you log in, it'll say, welcome to Mike's team. And you're going to need to pick a username. So my version of best practices, what I would recommend is do your first name and your last initial. I'm Mike V, so I do Mike V. Because often, these groups get really big really fast, and it makes it simpler if there's not 5 Bobs. Or another thing to know about the names is, of course, each name has to be unique, so you can't really have 5 Bobs. So if Bob already took Bob, it gets really annoying, because how do you know if Bob is Bob A or Bob B? So just do your last initial. Another thing with Slack is it's all lowercase. So if you try to do capital M, capital V, if you're Mike V, it's not going to work. So if you get frustrated and you're wondering why, it's designed not to let you do that. And then the last thing I just want to mention, now that you're in Slack, and hopefully it looks pretty close to this, is Slack has lots of features to allow you to customize. So play around. Slack's going to start sending you email notifications. If you don't like them, you can turn it off. You can control a lot of different things. It's a very, very powerful tool. I just scratched the surface. But hopefully you have enough to get started with your team. Good luck.